Okay, now in this tutorial, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to set up your world, okay, how to set up your conditions of your world and have them do what you want it to do. All right, now the first thing you need to understand is we really want to work with the interface. The interface is basically these buttons here, set up and forever. That's the only thing you can really do at first. All right, so we're going to go to interface, and what you need to do is this is the key, you need to decide which button you're going to use. Now there's all sorts of other things here, setting data boxes. That's, for instance, that allows you to change, like put data into something. You can create a line graph. Slider value will allow you to actually speed up or slow things down. There's all sorts of possibilities. Clear table. What we're going to do is, the first two keys are the ones that are up top. When blank is pushed, what's going to happen? That's the setup button. Pushing a button makes something happen once. Toggling a button, which is the next thing down, makes a thing that that's the code that gets read over and over again. So what do we want to have happen? Well, we want to create some agents. So let's go over to the agents button, and you notice that there's two. There's one that says create blank, and then there's create do. I want you guys to experiment with this, because one of the things you're going to notice when you do this is that if you create the agent, that's all you can do. I think, and it makes a lot more sense, to create agents and give them their characteristics. So I'm going to click and I'm going to drag this guy over, and I'm going to have to decide what I want to do. So in this box here, I can just type in a number. I'm going to say, let's create 50 agents. And I'm going to say, well, what do I want to go? Well, let's create 50 atoms. Now you notice that we're not creating a very coherent story here. A lot of you guys may want to create a game, some sort of game or something like that to just start off with to play with. All right. Eventually what we are going to be doing in this class is we're actually going to be simulating different things like the gas laws and reactions. Okay, so when you're going to create 50 atoms, okay, when setup is push. Now, general rule, what you always do, first, you have to run the code, and then you're going to hit setup. Whoops, and it doesn't look like much happened. So what's going on? Let's zoom in. Let's run the code and hit setup. All right, so we're having a little bit of a problem. So create 50 when setup is pushed. Oh, I'll tell you what the problem is, and I made the mistake myself. You notice that I'm on the zombie page. The zombie page is highlighted. I got to highlight this. This is supposed to be in the world page. Cut. I'm going to go to the world. Paste. Now let's see what happens. Hopefully that'll work. Zombie only does things for the zombie. So you hit run code. You always have to do that. And then you hit setup. Boom. And now this is kind of weird because all that's happening is I'm getting a big box in the middle. Let's zoom in on what we can see. And you notice, if you look real carefully, you notice it's sort of a serrated box. Well, that actually is 50 boxes. So what's the problem? I want you to think about that for a minute. Look at where the boxes are. They're in the exact center of the screen. You didn't tell it where to put things. So what you need to do is, okay, let's scatter them. It's right there, it kind of tells you. And one of the things you're going to notice is that Starlogo tries very, very hard to make things obvious. So, all right, let's run the code again. You always have to hit run code. Hit setup. Boom. Now, this is kind of weird because you notice that the original dot is still there, but now I've created a whole bunch more characters. Let's zoom out and see what's happening. Okay, well, that looks like about 50. Let's hit setup again. Now, what do you notice that's happening? Every time I hit setup, what's going on? That's, if you're thinking, and I feel like Dora the Explorer right now, if you're thinking, yeah, that's right, okay, you keep on creating 50 more characters, but you're not getting rid of the originals. Well, what could I do to get rid of the originals? Well, you'll notice it's two buttons. There's delete everyone and there's delete. Let's see what happens when I hit delete and I put delete there at the bottom. Run code, setup. Oh, that didn't do anything. And I think the reason is because delete comes after. What if I put delete inside the box? You'll notice that the do is telling you what to do with that particular agent. If it's outside the box, it doesn't do it to that particular agent. So let's hit run code, setup. Well, nothing's happening now, and that's because it's leaving what was there. So let's just get rid of that. And let's go with delete everyone. Put that beneath it. See what that does. I think what that's going to do, it'll appear like nothing's happening. There we go. We just got rid of everybody. But the problem is we want to create, and what we really want to do is we want to create 50 atoms and we want them to stay. We don't want anything staying afterwards. So we're going to put this first. So it reads that instruction first, clears all the mess, and then creates my 50 guys. There we go. All right. So now, if you notice, we got these really, really boring boxes. So I've showed you how to create things in this tutorial, and you can create your turtles and your atoms, whatever you're going to do. But the problem is, well, this isn't very interesting because I really want to create some other things. All right, and I want them to kind of look different. So let's see if there's a way we can affect their traits. And sure enough, there's a box for traits. And I'm going to say, let's see what set my does. All right, set my, and you'll notice is already there's like 5 different things you can do. And I want you to experiment with all of these. Okay, but let's just go with color. Well, I can set my color to, and you notice there's a little box here that says color with a pull down. That allows you to pick a particular color. So I'm going to set the color to pink. Or how about a random color, just to see what happens. So again, run code, setup, boom, and you've created a whole bunch of different guys. All right, so you can play with color, you can play with size. I want you to play with all of these different possible characteristics. All right, and I want you then to do the same thing. So I want you to create a certain number of atoms, a certain number of zombies, a certain number of projectiles. By the way, I'm assuming that you're giving your agents your own unique names. All right, so we're going to do all of that. One other thing I do want to show you, though, is set my shape. There's another little trick you can do that's kind of fun. We're going to talk about that. But for now, I'm just going to set their shape to a built-in shape, and I'm going to set these, instead of like cubes, let's make it a pyramid. See what happens. Run code, setup. And you'll notice that they look a little bit different. It's hard to tell. Now, let me explain what we're going to do. You guys have done a pretty good job so far. All right, if you got to this point, now it works. The best thing to do is to save your work. Here's the problem. As you change things, you're going to be copying over. So what I'm going to suggest you do is you hit the remix button. And now it says, okay, well, this is a remix that I did at this time. I'm going to call this Chemistry Class Simulation number 2. Okay, and in this one, we're doing, what have we done so far? We've created character, programmed color, and shape. Boom. Okay, so that's the new one. All right, so let's run code, setup. All right, that's it for now. Now what you're going to do is we're going to now actually start customizing our characters a little bit. All right, so you guys need to figure out, you want to figure out number 1, in the first tutorial you need to figure out what characteristics you want. Number 2, and what characters you want, what agents you want. Number 2, you're going to need to figure out what characteristics you want to give them.